Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Strip Sideways episode. I am your host, Sarah Ranguni, and today we are joined by the lovely Suri. She's known for her hilarious but on-point videos that focus on culture, gender, age, sex, you name it, but more from a Southeast Asian perspective. She's really challenging the narrative and rewriting her own experience to not just make them more relatable, but eye-opening. It's really pushing the limits, but it's making you question, at least me question, a lot. Today, we're going to be talking about what inspires her. She's going to be spilling the tea on her double life and why it's so important to do this. You're going to really need to remember her name because I have a huge feeling that we're going to see her name in lights soon. Sri, thank you so much. Welcome to Strip Sideways.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. This is going to be a really fun cast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a good day. It's nice and sunny here, so I'm happy. Vitamin D coming through.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's raining here. We had a great weekend, but it's just raining. But for people who haven't heard of you, which is pretty crazy to me, because you know what, you are flippin' awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what really inspired you to get on TikTok, make these hilarious, funny, but really to the point videos on culture and like just everything I had said in the beginning.
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, I'm Sri. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Chicago, Illinois, born and bred here. I started TikTok in the beginning of the pandemic because, like many of us, I was just so lonely and so bored and wanted something to do. And so I was stuck at home. I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw so many people popping off, like Charlie D'Amelio, Addison Rae, Bella Poarch, and I'm like, if these girls can shake their butts and get views, like, why can't I? Like, oh my God, let me try it out. So, like, I tried it out. I wanted to be that cute little dancer on TikTok, and it didn't work. It absolutely did not work. And that's when I started encountering the Desi side of TikTok. And I saw a few Desi creators creating videos that were true to themselves about the community sometimes. And I was like, I wanna be part of that. I want to kind of tell my story and like I've always felt like a comedic person, so I wanted to really translate that onto the app. So I started off by, TikTok's known for popular audios and stuff. So I started off by taking popular audios that were trending on the platform and kind of relating them to a brown niche or a brown topic. For example, I know one of my first videos, like the stages of dating a brown boy. That was like one of my first ever videos, and like the stages of like it just essentially going downhill, like your expectations and it just going downhill. And I remember that was the first time I made a video that was beyond just myself. It was talking about a topic in the community that I knew that brown girls, Desi girls could relate to. And it was one of my first videos that kind of popped off. I think it hit like 30K views, and that was huge to me at the time. I was like, oh my God, like I'm viral, what the heck? And so it was crazy. And I was like, oh my God, I'm making videos that speak beyond just an experience that I've experienced. It's something that a lot of girls have experienced, and that's relatable, and that touches people, and that impacts people. So when I started focusing on that idea that I wanted to create videos that were more than just funny to myself or my friends, but could really talk about things in the community, that's when I started seeing a change in my content. And now when I make videos, I always try to have my audience or my users in the forefront of my process because they're the ones who gave me this platform. They're the ones who allow me to storytell. So when I make videos, like a recent video I made was about being a hairy brown girl. And I knew I could I knew I could just like tell a story about a guy insulting me in my hair, but I was like, no, let me make this in a way that all the girls can relate, all the girls can understand, or anyone with body hair can. And I formatted it in a way with a lot of innuendos and everything about how a guy will appreciate you and love you, and the second that you reject him, he will blast your body hair and talk about how it makes you less feminine and yada yada yada. And that did really well because it spoke about something that we all can relate to. As South Asians, we are hairy. We have amazing eyebrows. We have amazing hair on our heads, but we have also a lot of hair on our arms and legs. And.
Oh my God. Speaking of eyebrows, I really need to find someone who can help me with mine, but that's another story. I love that. I think what's great about your platform, and I think what's really different is, talking about hairiness, that's not easy, especially as a girl, but you go there, Sri, and you're so authentic. What made you want to be that truthful and honest? I mean, let me tell you, when I was in university, I could not have, I mean, I can't even do that now. Like talking about my body hair, I mean, um, what makes you go there?
The support. I'm going to be honest. When I first started off TikTok, I wasn't this loud and proud. I remember I would refuse to use my voice because I was like, I don't want to make videos with my actual voice in that. Like, that's absurd. That's so weird. I would use it with TikTok audios. Finally, I took that like one step forward. I'm going to use my voice. And then I'm actually just going to sit there and talk to the camera like vlog style, you know? It was like one step at a time. And it was because of the support I got. And like, you know, I hate to say it, but it's the validation that I got from my community that, hey, it's actually okay. We want to hear voices like this. You know, like I don't want numbers to drive my like passion or my artistry, but as an artist, it is very encouraging to see that the community supports you and that there are people who are actually being positively impacted by this. So to make videos about my body hair, sometimes I'm worried because I'm not gonna lie, guys can still be assholes on like Instagram and TikTok, and I still get captions like "You're just a hairy girl that no guy wants to get with," you know?
Oh, no,
Yeah, so
really?
yeah, sometimes I get comments like I got a DM that's like you're so ugly, yada yada yada, like no guy wants to be with you. And like that can be discouraging, don't get me wrong.
Oh,
But I
let's be real. He's probably really hairy, that guy. He probably hit a nerve. You know, you triggered him on some level, Sri.
yeah, I did trigger him and that's what like impronted that kind of message. But the fact that I have also like 20 other comments telling me thank you for talking about this, like as a brown girl I relate, that keeps me going. That makes me want to talk about stuff that is uncomfortable to talk about. That made me, because I felt ugly for being hairy. I felt so ugly. Like in sixth grade, I was watching waxing tutorials on YouTube. Like that's not something I should be watching, you
Oh,
know?
you know what? Speaking of waxing, I remember growing up and like my mom used to make me go to Pakistan, right, to visit her family almost every summer. And I remember I was so young and people were talking about how they were like 6 years old. Their moms would like wax their bodies. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you gotta get them when they're young. And then when you get older, you won't get any hair. Look, I got no hair. And I'm like, this is bizarre. Hey, you do you. If you think waxing your body at 6 is fine, that's great. But I think what really resonates with people, at least what resonated with me, is you really are able to take that comedy side of things and then merge it with realism, right? Like that Costco video. Oh my goodness. I flippin' sent that to everyone I knew. And if no one's seen that video, please go and watch it. It is hilarious because you talk about love, culture, relationship, right? Our parents, like a lot of immigrant parents have a relationship like that. But at the end of the day, they got no problems going to Costco. So you tapped into that. Is it more from personal experience? Is it something you've seen? Because we talk about double life. I feel like a lot of South Asians, a lot of people, a lot of young kids, a lot of all of us, we all kind of live our own double life. And I found on TikTok, I was able to be more expressive. I was scared in the beginning to find my voice, but there's something about being yourself. And when you're on camera and it's just you and that camera, there's no one else around you. So you get to be who you want to be. Is that kind of how you feel?
Yeah, 100%. Because I do live that double life, you know. I was one person in front of my family, in front of my friends in college. And then when I was taken away, the pandemic was beneficial for me, and I'm grateful for that because I had the opportunity to learn so much about myself, but it was very secluded, you know. I just had me and my phone and Zoom University. Like that was it. So I had the opportunity to like kind of sit in front of the camera, sit in front of my notebook, sit in front of my notes pages, and just kind of write the ideas that came to my head and then be able to explore that. And like sometimes I go back and I cringe. I cringe at a lot of my videos, but I had to be there to get where I am. And I know in like a year I'm going to cringe at the videos I'm making now. It's just the process. You got to be okay making fun of yourself, you know? And so I'm glad that I was comfortable making those videos. And like the Costco ones, they're 100% inspired by my own life. My parents, the only time they're ever together is if they go to Costco or they're talking about going to Costco. So it's like 100% inspired by my
Oh,
life.
you're not the only one. You are not the only one. So let's talk a little bit about, what your parents think about all this. I mean, this double life is not something that, if anyone's listening to it and can relate to it, it's not a big deal, right? Because especially as Southeast Asians, we are kind of forced to live a double life. We can't, like, I knew I grew up, a lot of people would be surprised to know I'm a writer and I'm a filmmaker. And it's taken me a really long time to come out of the closet and be like, and own that, right? Um, and why? Well, because growing up, my parents told me there's no money in writing and filming, and it wasn't their fault. I mean, that's what they knew. They came here with nothing, and it was about paying the bills, right? So I get that. Is that kind of what happened to you in terms of expectations?
Oh, 100%. When as an artist, I always felt like an artist. I always did. When I was young, I loved being expressive, animated, and everything. I always felt like that, and I was a dancer too, so I always felt like an artist. But my parents really wrote the narrative and set it straight. They came here too with nothing, and they had to like get a job and be stable. And my dad works in tech, and my mom doesn't work at all. So the expectation was like that I would also get a job in tech, or get a job in med, or get a job in business, like traditional business, and do that because it is safe. Simply put, it is very safe, and it allows me to have a quote unquote good future, a foundation. And so when I was in high school, they pushed me to do really good on the ACTs, the SATs, be in STEM. Like I stressed out to the max because I was trying to fit that narrative. And then finally, when I got to college, I realized like I went to community college, and that even was kind of like disappointing to my parents. They weren't like fully disappointed, but they're like, our daughter is not going to a 4-year university. Like, oh my God, how are we supposed to tell people? But I started exploring my art, and I started doing it very secretively. My bedroom is my safe like chamber. This is my laboratory. I do everything in here. And I started filming, and when I started getting a following, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is me. Like this my art is meant like I'm meant to be an artist. I'm meant to be a storyteller, and I can't hide that." I hid it for a very long time. I still do hide it to a big degree, and I do live that double life. I am one person in front of my family, friends, and my traditional people versus who I am on the internet. Two different people. If you meet me in person, you'll be like, "Who is this girl? Like,
I
what
know
is she?"
I know, isn't that so weird? Like, I feel the same way. I feel like I grew up very, artsy, very imaginative, I want to say. Like,
Hmm.
my mind took me to places that I probably shouldn't go, and it still does. Um,
Yep.
and literally, I don't tell, a lot of people don't even know this about me, but I walk into rooms and I almost scan it like a scene from a film or like a episode on television. And I used to think that I had something wrong in my brain. Like, oh my God, I can't tell anyone this. They're gonna try and send me somewhere and get me checked out. And instead of me feeling like, okay, this is normal, right? Like I'm imaginative. Like I was a very imaginative young girl. And then somewhere along the lines, what happens is your voice gets silenced. And for me, I think I silenced my own voice with the feeling of the judgment and what people might think of me. And I too had my aha moment during the pandemic. And I went through like almost, and I think we had an excuse to, I just shut myself off from everything. And I had to. I had to. I mean, I had my core friends, obviously my family, but I was living this double life. I think only like two people knew what I was doing. And I mean, in the last 2 years, or I won't even say a little bit longer than that, I've been doing so many things that now I think by the time I air this, Sri, it's going to come out and a lot of people are going to be shocked with what you made a movie. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I
Yes, you
did.
did.
I did. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time. And yeah, I'm a writer. I am a writer and I've been writing scripts and I love doing it. And that's my escapism. And that's the way I deal with, that's my therapy. Do you feel like that, creating your content is almost therapeutic for you?
It's so therapeutic. 100%. A lot of my videos, like, they're not as traumatizing now, but those moments were traumatizing. Getting bullied for being hairy, wanting to have light skin my entire life, wanting to essentially be a white girl because I didn't feel beautiful in my own skin. Those were very traumatizing moments, and those are years that like fueled my depression. But I'm able to make comedy out of that now, and I'm able to hopefully make younger girls or girls my age or girls older than me feel better about themselves and less alone because these aren't like when we think about problems and we think about them as ourselves, it gets very like personal and very critical. but these aren't our sole problems. We all go through it as a community, you know? So being able to talk about that definitely is therapeutic. And allowing myself to write about it, feel through it, has been so beneficial. And I'm so grateful for that to be my sort of escapism as well.
Yeah, it's such a release. It's really sad that you did experience that bullying. I did too, by the way,
Yeah.
when I was younger in high school, and I used writing as a way to deal with everything. I mean, I have stories upon stories that are just tucked away in my laptop with just my experiences, and I think we're lucky enough where we can write it out. Some people have a hard time doing that, and I feel so blessed that I'm able to express myself through writing. Because if I didn't have that, I don't know what I would have done. So your parents had an expectation of you. What do they think of your videos now? Do they see your videos, Sri?
Hell no. No. Sometimes, occasionally I'll show my mom a video because she'll be like, what did you make for that brand? And I'll like show her if I think it's appropriate for her to see. They did not support me in the beginning of my TikTok endeavors, and they don't support me, but they tolerate me. And that's all I need. I don't need their, as much as a brown daughter, I want their validation. As much as I want it, I don't need it. And their validation is not an indication that I'm doing something right. And their lack of validation is not an indication that I'm doing something wrong. So learning that has been the hardest part because hearing them yell or feel disappointed or just feeling that sense of I'm not what you wanted me to be is very painful. But I gotta do it because I'm an artist. And if you don't pursue your art, it's genuinely painful and disappointing,
Oh, yeah,
you
it
know?
is. Thing is, you know what? I think parents, they love us. They love us too much, especially, I'm not saying other parents don't love their kids too much, but brown parents are on another level of love. Their
Yeah.
love is shown through somewhat of like these expectations and control. Be like this, and you'll make mommy happy, beta, like
Yeah.
um and I think that's like it's so hard because the guilt is real and you feel it, and I know
Mhm.
the whole validation situation, but inside still I'm that little girl who's like, okay, no, 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 accept it, accept me, this is how I'm like. And it's funny because I've hid this part from my parents. My mom kind of had an inkling about what I was doing
Mhm.
personally, and like she'd be like, "Where are you going every weekend?" Like I'd be going on set.
Mhm.
Why are you like? It's been 12 hours. I haven't heard from you. It's like, well, that's set life, right? And like, what am I going to be like? I started off, as a PA, and now I'm, directing my. It's like, where did you go for those 3 days? And I was like, I was filming, right? I was directing my own movie. And and then I kind of told her, she's like, you're up to something. You can tell me and I felt so bad. She's like, you can tell me I'm very open to listening. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm just doing, a film. And she's like, oh, on what? And I'm like, it was just so funny because I think she didn't understand. Like, did I take my camera and I just started filming something? She had no idea the kind of production that, and the work and the effort and the time that it took to do this. And I kind of felt really bad in that moment. I almost felt like I was betraying my parents. And it was one of those feelings where, because I've been hiding it for so long. But then I'm like, you know what? I think my mom and dad, they just need just some education. And maybe I need to have a better way of communicating with them. And I just don't feel comfortable right now doing it. But maybe one day I'll do it when I'm 90. I don't know.
Exactly. You get there. We'll get there.
We will get there.
Yeah.
Do you think, Sri, that it's harder for girls, women, to do this and go against, have that guilt that we have versus a guy? Like, would a Southeast Asian guy feel the same guilt that we feel?
I want to say they do because I think it's even because like I was a dancer and I was very emotional growing up. So I feel like my parents put the two and two together. They're like, ah, she's an artist. She just feels too much kind of thing. Whereas for like guys, I, at least for my brother, I know that he's always been like very like strict. Like do good in education, and like he went to a great college, and like, so I feel like if he pursued anything artistic, it would have been even more absurd. Like, oh my gosh, like you're doing something artistic, like something vulnerable, quite literally vulnerable. And so I feel like it is hard for them as well, but I will admit, like, it's a little harder for us because I'm constantly lying about where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I'm like filming, like the lies I have to, like, so I have to leave. I go to Chicago, I go to the city, I'm in the suburbs, I go to the city for acting class. And the amount of WhatsApp video calls I get when I'm in the city for acting class is absurd. It is
Because they
really, really.
know. Because they know. They know. I'm telling you, I'll go on set. I don't hear from my family for a while. And then I go on set and all of a sudden I'm getting calls from my dad, from my mom. And it's like they know. And I'm telling you, I feel so guilty because I'm thinking they just want me to tell them the truth. But I wonder how I can tell, like, hey, mom, dad, like, I'm on set for a film. Click, like, hang up. Like, what do you do after that? You still have to see them. Right. You have to have that conversation.
Explain yourself.
So what do you do when they're calling? Do you just like not answer?
Sometimes when I'm not where I'm supposed to be, I don't answer. But other times, like, they know I'm in acting class and they don't like it, but they know it. That time I'll answer and I'll be like, I'm on the train back, or I'm going to class right now. So like I said, they've learned to tolerate it, but also I don't think they're aware of my dreams. I think they're like, because I'm still a woman in STEM, I have an internship. Oh my God, when I got my internship this summer for a UI product design role, so grateful for it. I really am.
But okay, so why don't you tell everybody what you do? Like, everyone will be so shocked to know what Sri does in her double life.
So I'm going into my senior year of college. I am an interactive media studies major, and I am focusing on UX UI design. So I got an internship, so grateful, at a tech company to be a UI product designer. I was so surprised myself, right? I was so surprised. I was like, and I sent them my TikTok too, so they, full transparency, like, you know who I am, you know what I do on the internet, and you still want me? Okay, that's crazy. And when I sent that to my dad, because right now he's in India visiting his mom, and I sent that to my dad, the first text, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, what? Like, that's the first time my dad has ever straightforward said that to me. And I was like, right, like, he's always like been like supportive and sweet in like other ways, but like to see the words, I'm so proud of you. And if we're to be a tech-based thing, I understood it. And I really wish it was towards my art and a lot of other accomplishments I made in my, like, TikTok social media career, but it was towards tech. And I just like, I was like, I'm manifesting this to one day be about my artistry, and one day for those words to come from me pursuing my storytelling dreams.
All you need is 10 Oscars, 5 Grammys, and just that's all you need. That's all you need with Southeast Asian parents, like, and probably a little bit of cash in the bank, and you're good.
Exactly.
That's it. Not a lot.
Super easy.
Super, super easy. It's funny that you say that's the first time he said that he's proud of you, because I've had a lot of time to reflect, and it's our moms are a lot, obviously more nurturing than our dads, but it takes a lot really to, like, I feel like secretly my dad is proud of me all the time, but it's just hard for him to say it, right? When you were doing your TikTok videos, and let's say your mom and dad came to you and were like, oh my God, Sri, I'm so proud of you. How would that mean? Like, what would that mean to you?
Oh, I think I'd cry. A little story. The past summer, I went to an Indian event in Arangetram, a Bharatanatyam Arangetram, and it's a huge thing. And it was my first time seeing family friends from years ago, like 7 years ago. And they had found my TikTok. And these are like elderly people, 40, 50-year-old people. And they were speaking poorly about it. And they were just like, oh my God, she does this on the internet? Like, she's so open about it. Like, do her parents know? Oh my God, like, that's kind of weird. That's like, they were speaking about it in a negative light. And my mom kind of overheard it. And she went to a friend of mine who's a little bit older than me. She's 27, 28. And she went to her and she's like, I don't care what my daughter does. As long as she's safe, I don't care. As long as and can you just look out for her? Because she's just doing her. And as long as she's safe, I don't care. And
she loves you.
Right?
She loves you for you.
She doesn't know how to say it to me, like, exactly, like, I support you in your dreams. But in that moment, that to me showed that she did. And that
100%. Yeah, my parents have shown me in certain ways too. And that's why I'm like, you're lucky. Like, our parents have, for a lot of people out there who don't understand this, like, there's Southeast Asian parents, they do have a hard time not expressing themselves more, but like accepting something that they don't understand. And it's not that they don't accept you. It's not that they don't love you any less. It's just that to them, I think I've said this in other episodes, their idea of success is defined by, the like having a family, getting your degree, making, not even like just making enough to survive to be happy. They just want to know you're happy. They just want to know you're safe and you're sound and that you can take care of yourself when they're gone. Really, that's what it is. And when you think about it, their journey was so hard when they came here because they didn't know anyone. They didn't have anyone. They had to start from scratch. So I understand that. And actually, there's a lot of friends I have who are Italian who say they have the same parents who do the same things to them. So I think it's really like an immigrant generational kind of thing. And I think what's great about this podcast, and you kind of touched upon it, like talking about things that you're really trying to change the narrative. This is what I feel about this podcast. And I'm kind of going on a journey. Like I started really, really scared. I mean, my mom's like, hey, can I get the link to your podcast? I'm like, no. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to give you my link. I don't want to, I don't want you to, and she didn't even say that she didn't want to listen to it. She actually is like, I want to know what you're talking about. And I'm so curious and I want to like support you. And I'm like, no, because I don't remember the things I've been saying. Probably brought you up a few times and I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I was actually more scared for people that I knew to listen to my podcast. I am more scared for people to find out about me being a writer, about me being a filmmaker, than I am about strangers. And I think that's what social media does for a lot of people who feel like they're artists and who want to express themselves, because you have a community of people who just accept you for you. They don't know you. They don't know your backstory, but they just accept you. Okay, you got some crazy trolls. I get it. But at the end of the day, that acceptance opens you up even more. Don't you feel kind of like this, like rose, like you're slowly like a flower, like just blooming and blooming and blooming as you make your journey into social media?
I do. That is a beautiful way to put it. I really do. Because in the beginning, I was like this little bud. And I remember when people from school would follow me, because TikTok does that thing with the contacts, I would block them. I would be like, oh my God, that's disgusting. I'm blocking you. But when random people followed me, it was so heartwarming. And random people in the comments, I loved it. I hated when anyone from school, like when I go back and I see people from high school following me, I'm like, shit, like you follow me, dog. Like, please don't. But
Because you're scared. You just don't want that judgment. That's judgment. Like, it does not matter what you do, how many followers you have, how many people like it, how many views you have. That judgment is so hard to shake off sometimes, right?
yeah,
You just,
yeah.
you gotta, it's a work in progress.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I always, in the beginning of my journey, when I hit like 10,000 followers, I have screenshots of like the milestones I hit. I was like, when I hit 100K, I'll be more like complete and settled with myself. When I hit 300, 500K, I'll be more settled with myself. I'm at a greater number now, and I'm not. Like that feeling never goes away, you know? Like it doesn't like go away with the numbers growing. You're human. You still feel like shit sometimes. You still hate your work sometimes, and you still judge yourself very critically sometimes. And I hate to admit that, but I do. And I think about myself sometimes. I'm like, I wonder what people from high school think about me. Who gives a fuck? But sometimes I still think like that, and it
They
hurts.
think you're flipping awesome. Let me just tell you that because I think you're
Thank you.
flipping awesome. And I'm
Thank
not a
you.
stranger anymore. We're friends.
Yeah.
So this has to count for something. Okay. Um, so you mentioned about hitting those milestones. You almost have, how many, I think you have, I actually had to peek this morning before I came on. I'm like, okay, I need to know it, how many followers she has. You almost have 1 million followers
Yeah, I'm almost a
on
million.
TikTok.
Yeah.
That is nuts. That is nuts. So A, how does that make you feel? And B, do you feel even more pressure to kind of deliver a certain kind of content?
I'm first of all immensely grateful for the platform I have. I have to remind myself of that every day because that's not normal. A million people, that's not normal. Um, but no, I
Oh, no, no,
don't.
no. It's normal for you, Sri. You better get used to this. Let me tell you, it's going to go to like 5, 10, 20 million.
Girl, stop. I love you. Um, I I don't think about that amount of people when I'm creating. I think about myself. I think about my ideal user, ideal viewer. I think about like how can I make this impactful? How can I format a video to make it more than just myself? And like, for example, if you're scrolling on your For You page. You don't want to spend 3 minutes watching a video about me ranting about my parents. That's not cute. That's not going to impact you, you know? How can I make a 30, 60-second video about something in the community that you can take and share with your friends and with yourself and feel better about because you know you're not alone. So when I think about it like that, and I think about my art, it just comes to me naturally. You can't think about it as in, I have 1 million people watching my step and I need to make something that goes viral and does well. That shit will kill your art. It will kill your art completely. When I think about me and I think about like my followers as my friends, as my family, that's when it comes easiest to me.
So the idea is just being authentic. And I think you do a great job. But that's what really attracted me to your videos because I
Thank
was like,
you.
she's willing to go there. You don't care how you come off. And that doesn't mean that's not in a negative way, meaning like a lot of people would be worried about how they're looking or that perception. And I think you just have to go for it. And I think that's like, and that's actually really, really hard to do. I know for me, I feel safer having no one know what I'm doing than everyone know what I'm doing. So I love it that no one knows yet that I'm a writer. No one knows that I'm an official writer, like I'm writing. No one knows that I'm a director. Like it's this safe kind of world I've created for myself. And then I said to myself, it's been a very long time. I've been living kind of this double life. Everyone's like, why are you up at 2 a.m? What are you doing? You're so busy. Like, we haven't heard from you. Where are you? And like, I obviously, my tribe knows what I'm doing. But people outside my tribe, they don't. And then when you really realize who your tribe is, number one, you realize how small it is compared. Like, I really feel like you know who your people are when you have kind of like a secret double life like this, because it's the people you feel comfortable telling. And it's so shocking how you're like, wait, I don't know why I don't feel comfortable telling this person and that person. And then you start realizing, oh my God, these are my people. I found who my real people are through this double life. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I am so grateful to have such a core group of friends since middle high school. And then in college, we don't go to the same college, but we FaceTime all the time. And those were the people when I was going through my social media journey that I was turning to. I was like, can you check out this video? I'm really insecure and I don't know if it's good. And like, I wouldn't show anyone else, but I'd show them. I, I know I trust someone when I'm willing to show them a piece of work that I haven't put out yet. Like that's my indication, because I value your opinion and I trust myself to put myself in such a vulnerable place. And I have like two, three friends I do that with. And that is my tribe. And like whenever I'm like not feeling like an artist, I've got that imposter syndrome, don't think I'm gonna make it, I turn to them and they hype me up. They remind me of why I even started and they really support me.
There's something beautiful of having, like, being lucky enough to have that. I know I have that, and I feel really, really grateful. And as you start living that double life, you feel even more grateful because now you also have an outlet where you can talk to people, right, about what you're going through, your highs and your lows. So I feel like, oh my God, that's just a blessing. So if you ever are living or want to live a double life, it is possible, but just make sure you have people around you because you can't do it alone. It's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, and people who are doing it alone, just hit me and Sri up and we'll be your tribe,
Yeah, we will.
right?
We know it.
We know it. We know the life. So let me ask you something. What is one misconception that people have about you?
I think one that I encounter a bit that I got a comment about one time when I talked to someone after they saw my TikToks was that I'm purely just like this comedic, lucky, happy-go-lucky person. Like I'm just like a funny gal, nothing hits me, nothing phases me. Like I don't have a plan. I'm just like because I'm very funny in my videos and I kind of appear like that. I just like I don't give a shit, kind of thing. I give a shit. And I think a lot and I care a lot and I have a lot of dreams. And so when people like realize that there is like an intention, a reason, a strategy behind my videos and behind my life and behind my dreams, they're like, oh my God, like they're kind of taken aback. They're like, whoa, like, oh, you like actually have logic and a brain? That's so cute. And so it's like interesting because like I started this off obviously as comedy and like obviously as a fun thing, but it's even been a surprise to myself that like there is there is like a plan and a logic behind all of this. And I am, as much as I'm a comedian and I'm a funny woman, I'm a smart woman. And That's hard for me to admit because sometimes I don't feel smart. I don't feel smart in IT. I don't feel smart in TikTok sometimes, but I am a smart woman and I am intelligent and I am growing that business side of myself as well as that artistic side of myself. And that's been a misconception I've had about myself and other people have had about me, that I don't have that, but I do.
No, I can, when I met you and like we started talking, I was really surprised at how down to earth you are because
Oh, thank you.
it's true. When you watch people on social media, you tend to think that's who they are. I think that's one of the drawbacks of social media
Yeah.
where you think you know someone through their content, through what they post. But at the end of the day, everyone has their struggles. Everyone goes through their mental health challenges up and down. And I think what's really important when you are on social media and you are like an influencer in a way, Suri, is realizing that, you don't need to prove to really anyone who you are because the people who are watching you are going to get that. And like the trolls, they're just never going to, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what kind of content you do or you don't do. They're just never going to accept you for who you are. So that is something that you need to remember. Um, if you had to give advice to someone who is struggling with that double life and they don't know which way to go and what to do, and they're this close and kind of giving up, what would that advice be to them?
Stop perceiving yourself from the third perspective. It's not going to work. You're looking at yourself. You're trying to paint the story by looking at it from an outskirts, but really, you only paint the story, and you only paint your story when you get into the details. So your work on your craft, day by day. My thing when I start TikTok, one TikTok a day will keep my depression at bay. And that's what I did. I made a TikTok a day. And it made me work on my artistry. And even sometimes I look at myself from the third perspective. I'm like, am I a good creator? Am I a good South Asian creator? Am I doing something for the community? And I look at myself from that third perspective, and it never works because you'll never be able to judge yourself from that view. And anyone who does judge you from that view, kind of stupid because they don't realize you're a person who is multidimensional. So just focus on the work, focus on your passion, focus on your craft, and naturally that picture, that art will align. And you're painting your canvas by that. Like just work on your craft and everything will magically align.
Well, it
It's
seems like
cheesy.
you've used social media in your videos. Like you talked about depression, you've talked about some mental health,
Mhm.
um, and it seems like it really, really helped you. So, are you? I know for me, I have a little bit of anxiety, and my writing really helps. I also actually wear these like bracelets that I make, and they're crystal bracelets, and I remind myself like I'll put like breathe on here just to remind myself, hey, everything's okay. And for some reason, it makes me feel better. There are some people though who have really extreme cases though of mental health, right? Like a bracelet or creating content and writing is not enough. It just won't help them. I wonder, and this is a really heavy question. What would your advice be to them, someone who's around your age, who is really battling those mental health and they're demons, really, right? Like from what I gather, some of the research that I've done, some of the things I've seen, it can really change. It can just paralyze you. Do you have any advice for them?
I don't want to speak about it as if I know it because I've been very grateful enough to not
Yeah.
go through something that heavy. So I don't want to speak about it like, oh, this will help you, this will solve you. But obviously medical help, getting actual serious, like being able to talk to a professional, I'm sure is amazing therapy. And I really don't know. I know for me, it is art. For you, it is art. And exploring that
Yeah.
art has helped. So I guess doing something that feels like you or feels like you're creating you will always help. And like ignoring the outside perspective, because what I do is I internalize everything. And I internalize people's criticism and I make it my own. And that's when it becomes the most heavy. Trying to stop that and build gratitude practices and taking the time. Journaling for 10 minutes every day has changed me. I know that sounds so stupid, but it has changed me.
Oh no, no,
Taking
not at all.
it has. It makes me feel so much more grounded. And this past year, I went through a pretty depressive phase because I was going through some health issues, physical and mental. And I turned to Ayurveda, which has helped me physically, but also mentally. Taking that time to actually sleep at 10:30 p.m. and take care of my body, take care of my soul. You don't got to be religious, but pray into something, pray into yourself that you're going to be okay. just taking that time to ground yourself and realize that you are all you need to exist in this world and to thrive in this world, and that it is all within you. And it's not outwards. You got to dig in inwards, and realizing that will help you sustain yourself.
I'm sorry. Can you hear that? No.
It's a pause.
Um, oh my goodness. I 100%, like, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm grateful enough not to have all that, but I think everyone goes through mental health challenges, and there's variations. There's low, there's highs, there's middles. But I think staying true to yourself and really, talking about just not doing it alone, like even finding one person who can help you through it really makes a difference. And I know, like, people are like, how is this even related to this double life? But I think what a lot of people don't understand is it's not easy to live a double life. It's not easy to hide a certain part of you that is screaming to come out in so many ways, right? There's so many different reasons why people live a double life. For you, it was this artistry that you really wanted to come out. And unfortunately, you couldn't. But what's great is, like, now you found it. You found it in your 20s. You're doing it. So where do you want to be 5 years from now?
Oh my God. I want to, my dream is to get into entertainment. I want to be an actress. That's why I'm going to acting classes, and I want to really pursue that. And I know logically, like, that it's going to be difficult because I've never been in acting, and that's a career that I'm starting from the ground up. So I'm hoping to still have UX, UI design, if not necessarily working at a company, but being able to freelance that as well as freelance my social media work to sustain a living and also pursue acting because it is a dream of mine. And I always felt like an actress as I was acting my way through life. So I thought I could do it on TV too, or film. So
Oh,
that
you
is my
will.
dream.
We will be seeing you on TV very, very soon, and I cannot wait for that because
Thank you.
you're amazing, and you're amazing on so many levels. Thank you so much for being here, for coming on. I know it's not easy to tell your truth, so thank you so much.
Thank
You are
you.
Everyone, remember her name. And I just, like, hit the table because that's how much I believe in you. Remember her name because you're going to be hearing it a lot more. And for everyone out there who is living that double life, like Sri, like me, hit us up. If you have any questions, we're always here to answer them. And at the end of the day, live your truth because, you know what? That's all that really matters. Thank you so much, Sri.
Thank you.